I'm joined today by the newest head coach. He's the 24th in the history of the Brandon Wheat Kings, Don MacGillivray. Don, how are you doing right now?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's actually lots. You wouldn't think there'd be lots of work to do, but there's been lots of work to do, and getting ready for the start of the season, whenever that may be.
Well, let's talk about that. We got the start of the season coming up in hopefully early January. What are you doing right now to prepare for the season? What does a coach do when, there is uncertainty like this? And just can you give us a little insights into what your team is doing right now?
Well, I guess first of all, I communicate with the players. I think that trying to let them, know what the timeline is as best as we can tell. And as a staff, we're getting ready for training camp. Whenever that starts, so you have a plan on what you're going to do in the first few days or the first week. And then just going through your system checks, going over practice drills, just to make sure you're dialed in on those types of things. Looking for new ways to teach. That's really what we've been up to.
Well, Don, I mean, it's been quite a journey for yourself. You've been a head coach in the Western Hockey League before. You've been actually the head coach of what looks like 8 different junior hockey teams in your career so far. You've gone through 2 head coaches with the Brandon Wheat Kings. Now you're the head coach of the team. Did you know that Dave had the potential to leave to go to the Jets, or did it come out of the blue when the news came down that he was leaving to go to the Jets? And did you know that you were next in line?
Well, there's a couple of layers to that question. I think that I didn't know Dave was in line to get a job with the Jets. That came kind of up suddenly. I think that when the season was paused last year, I felt like Dave would be a candidate for jobs that opened up throughout the NHL. He's a terrific coach, and we certainly expected that that he would have some interest around that league. And I think that as it moved along, it became apparent that, he was set on coming back to Brandon and continuing what we'd started the year before. And I think that, this opportunity came out of the blue for him, and it's too good to pass up. I think the opportunity to coach your son at the NHL level, the highest level of hockey you can, and be with your son every day, that's just a great opportunity. And I couldn't be more happy for Dave.
Oh, what an incredible opportunity. I mean, it goes another level too. The fact that Dave also played in the NHL, and now he's getting to share that very special experience with his son, Adam, who was in the Western Hockey League when I was playing, which is, time flies, as you know. And I think that leads us to our next question. It's, you've got a real good team right now with the Brandon Wheat Kings. And, when you have a good team, it's kind of win now. So when you look at your team for next season, what's your expectations and what's that team going to look like?
Yeah, I think, when I look at our team, we were trending in the right direction at the end of last year. I think we want to continue that trend. When you look at our division, there's some real good teams in our division as well. So we still have some work to do for sure. And obviously there's the players that graduate from all the teams that, create holes and opportunity for the younger guys coming up. We like our group of players coming back. I think they're excited about coming back. Everybody's excited. Everybody's going to be excited about playing, just an opportunity to play games again. I think that, there's going to be a lot of probably a feeling out process for the players. Just to, I haven't played a game in 9 months for most of them. So it's going to be different. But I think everybody around here is excited about our opportunity that lies ahead.
Well, a part of being a coach in the Western Hockey League is you're dealing with, 20-year-old players that some of them have been to NHL training camps. Some of them have signed NHL contracts. And then you've got 16-year-old players who show up and they have no idea what's going on anywhere. And with the Brandon Wheat Kings, especially with the guys that you have coming up, you have 3 first-round draft picks that could potentially be on the team this season. You've got another 2 from this past draft. You've got a lot of young talent coming into your system. As a coach, what's your philosophy of dealing with these younger players and helping them through these first couple of years in the Western League?
Yeah, really, it's not just my philosophy. It's kind of our organization's philosophy. Is we want our young guys to play as much as they possibly can so that they can help us, in the stretch run, and into the playoffs. And I think if you look the development of some of our young guys. Last year, Jake Chason took a big step after Christmas. He was a contributing member of our team at the end of the year. And we're excited about those opportunities. We have some real good young players coming in. It's a tough league. There's always going to be an adjustment. There's going to be an adjustment in terms of, they've been the top dog on their teams. Now they're coming into a situation where maybe they're not getting on the power play or on a specialty team, and they've got to earn their ice time on a day-to-day basis. And the biggest thing will be the work habits that we're going to expect from them in practice and in games, and just their attention to detail. So there's a big learning curve for the young players coming into the league, whether they're the top player or maybe the guy that wasn't picked in the first round. There's still going to be opportunity, and those guys have to learn as they move along.
And just like you're coaching them in a mentorship type role, you've had mentors in your career. Who's been a coaching mentor for yourself that's provided clarity and direction in your own career?
Well, one of the things, coaching in and around Winnipeg, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time watching the Manitoba Moose practice or the Winnipeg Jets practice. So the different coaches, Alain Vigneault, Paul Maurice, Claude Noel, those guys, watching how they conducted their practices on a regular basis. I had the opportunity to work with Chris Stewart in Prince Albert. He was a very, very good coach, just in a bad situation at that time. But a terrific coach, and has gone on to a terrific coaching career. And certainly last year with Dave Lowry, I think that, it was basically like having a coaching clinic every day. Like we would come in and talk about different things, and in his idea how he approached the game, it was something that every day you're learning. In the previous years, you're always learning. Whoever you're working with, whether it's an assistant coach along the way, or when I was an assistant coach, I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone of being a head coach and general manager, going back and being an assistant coach and trying to learn as much as I could. And obviously moving back into the Western League, the game had changed a lot since my time in Prince Albert. So you're learning how a different organization does different things. And it was a real good experience. Kelly McCrimmon, Darren Ritchie, they had gone through a lot of different things. Kelly was a guy that I would come in and visit in his office and try to pick his brain when I was coaching junior A. And just to find out different things, and certainly he's been a mentor as well. So, but I can't tell you how grateful I was for the opportunity to work with Dave last year. I think that puts me in a good stead going forward this year.
Well, I mean, you're pretty successful in your own right. You're a 4-time MJHL Coach of the Year. You're a 2-time MJHL champion. In 2008, you were the U Sports. At that time, it would have been the CIS Coach of the Year for Canada West. And you have 669 Manitoba Junior Hockey League wins, which is 1 away from the all-time record. You know a lot about winning. You've had 2 championship teams. What are the characteristics of the championship teams you've been on?
Well, both of them they were 2 completely different teams. One was the year in Portage, we went wire to wire. So there's a lot of pressure when you got to the playoffs to continue that. We had a veteran group, which was, we had some real good players that led us. In the year with the Winnipeg Blues was different. We finished 4th in our division, had to go through a Survivor Series, knocked off, arguably the best team in our league in 5 games, and went through the playoffs pretty much unscathed. And that was a team that everybody accepted their roles and worked hard and became a real team. That was a real team. I call it team. Like the year before, we probably had a more talented team, but they didn't gel as a team at the right time. And so I think what I would take from that is it takes a lot of different parts of a team to become a good team. You need the grinders, you need the checkers, you need the scorers, you need the goaltending, and everybody has to buy in their role for you to be successful. Because in the playoffs, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be some adversity that you have to fight through. And if you have guys that can step into those spots, a guy gets hurt, you have a guy that can step in and fill that spot. Next man up mentality. That's really what is important.
We talked a lot about your success and And everybody likes to talk about the success, but there's also the years where you're not that good. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes you sell everything the year before to go for the big run, and unfortunately the cupboards are bare for the next season. So from your toughest seasons of coaching, what have been the takeaways and the things that you've learned from those hard years?
Well, really, especially when you're running a junior A program, you're wearing a lot of hats. So you're as a general manager, you're thinking about the long term plan. As a coach, you're always thinking about today. How are we going to win today? So I know I can just speak to my experience with the Winnipeg Blues. We had a rebuilding year. We had to move some key pieces at the deadline to bring in some players that could help us down the road. And I think that when you have a losing team, you have to really identify why that's happening. Is it talent? Is it character? Is it work habits? Is it structure? So it's always a self-evaluation, and as a coach, you're always self-evaluating. Did I do this or did I do that? Did I make a good decision here or did I make a good decision there? And it's really just a learning process, and sometimes, like I said, this the year that we won with Winnipeg, we weren't the best team, but we became the best team, like in terms of how we gelled together and did the right things at the right time. So I think that, certainly with Brandon, we have some really good players. It's going to be up to the coaching staff to have those players fit in the right spots to allow us to have success, and then to keep everybody engaged, make everybody feel like they're contributing. And that's really a key for me in terms of building a really good, solid team.
It sounds like a lot of what you just described was creating a good culture on a team so that, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. And I guess my last question for you would be, how do you develop a culture within a team?
Well, I think starts with the coaching staff. I think they have to see that we're willing to work. We're willing to be there for them. I think it's important that at this, especially now, you have to connect with the players. They have to know that you can talk to them as a person. They can come and talk to us about anything. When they walk through the coach's office doors, they might not get the answer they're looking for, but they'll get, the most honest answer that we can give them. And I think it's really important that everybody feels like they're contributing, and the culture is set in practice with your work habits and your attention to detail. And Dave Lowry, I'll refer back to him. Like, he was a stickler on detail. He was a stickler on work habits, being on time, those types of things. And that's part of the culture that we want to have here in Brandon. And I think that our returning players for sure understand that. They're not going to see a whole lot of difference. I mean, I'll talk to the players maybe a little differently than how Dave did, but at the same time, they're going to be able to come through the door and get an honest answer when they do that.
And as a former player, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that honesty from the coaching staff. Builds trust throughout the whole team. And without trust, you can't have a great team. So, Don, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. I wish you all the best as you prepare for this start of the season, and you have a good holidays as well.
You as well, Zach. Appreciate your time. Thank you.